my son Aziz asked me to come here to talk about a new stand-up special coming in Netflix.
I believe completely in the power of stand-up comedy, and I think that if there are things that make you uncomfortable, or there are things that are as complicated as Aziz Ansari's scandal, well, guess what? That's what stand-up comedy was made for. Those are exactly the things that need to be talked about. Comedy, catharsis. I don't love this special, but I do love that it exists. I know that one stand-up special isn't gonna fix these issues in our country, even if I naively sort of wanted it to. I think there are a lot of things my expectations weren't taking into account, and that's a lot to put onto one comic who has more experience being silly than being profound. So, right now, let's take a minute and talk about the history of right now.
There's times I felt scared. There's times I felt humiliated. There's times I felt embarrassed. And ultimately, I just felt terrible that this person felt this way.
Hi, I'm back. I just wanted to make a short video talking about the new Aziz special because a lot of people had a lot of opinions on it, so let's get into it.
Because they don't really care about learning and exploring and discussing. They just want to chime in with their little program reactions. They already know what they think about everything.
In case you forgot, an anonymous woman came forward in January of 2018 accusing Aziz of sexual assault. It came in the form of an article on the now defunct babe.net, and it happened in the throes of the Me Too movement. I'm not saying that people necessarily expected to hear some of the other scandals that came forward at that time, but I think Aziz shook some people. People loved him on Parks and Rec. He seemed progressive and sweet and not capable of what was written in that article. He even had written a book on dating a few years prior. It was a weird moment. So when that story broke, after he released a small statement, fans of his didn't know if he would just disappear, if he would turn angsty and resentful, or if he'd ever even address it directly on stage. But, months go by, and then there begin to be murmurs of Aziz doing drop-ins, showing up places. He'd been planning a tour. I was fascinated because I thought, you know what? If anyone would try a Me Too comeback, it's Aziz, isn't it? He always seemed like a progressive ally type. He likes being loved. It helps that he's not a straight white man. And he felt like someone who could humble himself, maybe more than some other disgraced comedians I won't mention. So this takes us to about December in 2018. And that's when Jason Zinnemann of the New York Times wrote an article kind of calling Aziz out for not talking about it on stage. The article in a lot of ways is a plea. It's an argument. He says directly, sometimes the safest bet is to take a risk. So we all want it. Come on, Aziz. Do it. I dare you. Do it. That's how I read it, at least. So fast forward 2 months, and would you look at that? Aziz is talking about it on stage. And, we don't know. Maybe he thought it was time. Maybe he was waiting until his words were strong enough. Maybe he was building up his case. Maybe he just needed talking to in a major publication. I don't know. Somehow, I guess he's ready now. I would kill to know what changed his mind, but... So Aziz is on tour, he's talking about the scandal, and that culminated in the special filmed in May, released in July. It's called Right Now, it's on Netflix. Frankly, I'm more interested in these types of questions, the how and the why, than what he actually ended up doing. It's probably a person-to-person reading of how hard you thought it was from emotionally. Not how much you know about stand-up, but do you believe him or not? I was really hoping to learn something, and I'm not sure that I did. I just don't think many people changed their minds. I don't know if that's a comment on society or his audience, but if you were going into this thinking Aziz was the victim, odds are you left thinking that. And if you went into it thinking he should still be #canceled, you probably left thinking that too. You probably left thinking that even more because the whole "it felt like I died" stuff probably really pissed you off.
I saw the world where I don't ever get to do this again. And it almost felt like I died.
Good art should be able to change people's opinions. I've seen it. That's part of why we have art. I don't want to say it was an insurmountable task, but it might have been an insurmountable task. Maybe Neil Brennan could have done it. Think about him prepping this, making the decision to go with it. Let's talk about how much of a high-wire act he was embarking on. Just at the top, no matter what, no matter how reformed or graceful or vulnerable he could be, there'd still be whole swaths of people that wouldn't give a shit, right? People to whom, he is and will forever be canceled for a lot of his audience, it's a lost cause. It's done. So you just have to take that whole percentage away. And then number two, let's be honest, Aziz is not a vulnerable, soul-bearing type of comic. He just isn't. So if he wanted to talk about this on stage, he'd have to step totally outside of his artistic comfort zone and really learn a whole new set of skills. Remember, we can't expect him to suddenly know what he's doing and have this deft touch. He runs around and tells stories. He's not Birbiglia. He's Aziz, and we can't forget that. He'd have to really perfect those skills, not just learn them, because talking about something this important, sexual assault on stage, 2019, and try to make it funny, that is do or die. I mean, for reference, I'm on YouTube, and I'm a woman, and I'm barely willing to talk about all of this. And it wasn't even me. It can just go bad so easily. And if he had half a brain, which he does, he knew that every word, every pause, everything he put into his act, he had to have known it would all be parsed to death. He couldn't phone it in. He couldn't. I think there were some good moments. I really liked the crowd work. I thought it was sweet. I liked how dressed down it was. I liked the directing. I liked the stool. I liked the stories. But I did find myself wanting more. I will say this. I'm excited to see what he does next. And I like seeing silly comedians flex new muscles. Thanks for watching. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What did you think of right now? Just don't be dicks to each other. Let me know who you want to see me talk about next, and comment, subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.